So did your body have to get used? So was the first week just murder? Just like after you did it? I mean, that first time your body probably had to super get used to it.
Yeah, like I had like pinched nerves, like I was feeling it in my knuckles and everything, down my elbow. And I remember like there's actually a few established like guys like that work for other promotions. Like these are guys that are on TV every week. One of them just retired, and the other one is a guy who's like, I think he might be a champion on like one of the, there's like 3 major companies that are on TV every week. There's like your WWE, your AEW, and then TNA. And there's a guy from TNA that actually follows me on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
And it was him, and then another guy that just recently retired to spend more time with his family and like run a cookie company. But like I'd send him DMs. His name's Eric Stevens, and he makes vegan cookies too.
Yay.
Yeah. But I like sent him a message. I'm like, hey, this is kind of weird. I know I'm just one of your followers, but whenever you first started out, like, how much pain were you in? He's like, it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. And then some of the guys that like, you know, I work with now, like, hey, you know, what was it like? Oh yeah, I had pinched nerves, like everything hurt.
Really?
And I was just like, okay. You know, because a couple things. Number one, like I wasn't sure, is my body breaking down and I'm not meant for this? But number two, I'm 35 years old.
Right.
This is not the age that most people start at. You got a lot of guys that are starting at like 18, 19 years old. Some of them are training from the time they're like 15. So like I'm a good decade older than a lot of the guys. So, you know, I do feel like there's a little bit more for me to prove. So I got to go harder. Like, oh, not this old guy that can keep up. I can keep up. But yeah, it was a lot of pain.
So it's just inside, and it's just internal, isn't it? You just have to reach inside and you use what you got.
Yeah. Ironically enough, so I started, like I said, I started in August, and my birthday's at the end of August. Like, and we had like a little get together at the local bar, and like I left it a little early because I trained that morning. And like we were trying to play darts, and I couldn't even pick up, like if my dart didn't stick, I couldn't even pick up my dart. Like my friends are like, here, let me get it for you, old man. You know, because I was in so much pain I couldn't bend over.
So when you were at work after that, was it hard being at work? I mean,
it was funny because people are like, hey, are you okay? And I'd be like, like it wasn't, you know, it was like Christian Bale in the old Batman suit. You know, I couldn't turn my head, like I just turned my body at somebody, like, what'd you say? You know. God, it sucked.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. That like, was it like Fight Club? Like I don't know if you've seen Fight Club, where he did the Fight Club thing, and then he would go to work and just totally be
was
bloody.
All beat up. Yeah. Well, like there was no visible bruises. Yeah, there's no visible bruises.
Yeah, but not only that, but just the difficulty of just having to go do this day job after living this like rough double life.
A lot of what I do is, I sit in a chair with rolly wheels, so it was like, this is all right. I can get around.
Yeah. So, but going back, so did you have an interest in, did you think about being a wrestler when you were like a child, or was it just entertainment?
Weirdly enough, I had a friend when we were like 11 or 12. I used to buy the action figures, right? Yeah. And the action figures used to come on this little stand. It was like this fake gold, like shiny gold WWE logo. Yeah. And I used to take them and I'd like glue them or tape them to like cardboard that I cut out like it was a championship title.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we had like all these titles, and like we come over and we would wrestle, and then like a lot of times the wrestling matches would get a little too real, like with each other, because we would just start getting mad and like, hey, wait a minute, man, you're supposed to let me do this. No, and you like wrench somebody's arm back. All right, it hurts. I quit. I give up. And he'd like take the title and be like, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Like it would just like get really like angry. Which was fun. But I had a beanbag that I used to like do like flips off of the fireplace in my parents' living room and land on it.
So who are some of your all-time favorites? I mean, you've got on a CM Punk shirt in it.
Yes. He's number 2.
Oh, is he? Ryder Piper's number 1.
Piper number 1. CM Punk number 2. Just the guy as a competitor, loved him. Who he is like outside of the ring.
Oh, really?
I dig him. Yeah, I like self-made people. Yeah. And like he actually did something very smart that a lot of superstars don't do is, you know, whenever he signed with them, he's like, this is my name, CM Punk. I own the rights to my name. Nice. If I leave, those rights go with me. And a lot of guys, like, they'll leave and they'll go to another company and they can't use the name that they were using. Yeah. So weirdly enough, so there's a legend named Dusty Rhodes. Yeah. A lot of people heard of him. Well, both of his sons wrestle. his other son is one of the ones that started the AEW in Jacksonville, Cody Rhodes. But because the WWE owned the rights to the Rhodes name, he just went by Cody forever.
Oh wow.
Up until like 2 weeks ago, they finally dropped like the copyright or the trademark on the name. So like, imagine like your father passed away 5 years ago. You just want to use his name and you can't because the company's like, no, we own his name.
Yeah.
So Punk did that. So Rowdy Piper, CM Punk. There's a guy named Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. He was actually he was on a documentary kind of about like addiction and everything. And weirdly enough, his character is based off of Scarface. And
oh, really?
Yeah, whenever he like brought it to, they brought it to like the creative people, they had never seen Scarface. This was the early 90s. Movie's been out for like 7-8 years.
Yeah.
They'd never heard of Scarface.
Wow.
And like, so he's calling people Chico, and he always had a toothpick. Like to this day when he does appearances, he has the toothpick, but he like flick it at people,
Yeah.
And, he was one of them. There's a Macho Man. Everybody loves Macho Man.
He was one of your favorites?
Oh yeah, it's just all the bright colors and just, it's just a crazy guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I apologize for that.
He actually was, funny enough, he signed to play baseball for the Cincinnati Reds and messed his shoulder up. And then like, he was like, all right, I guess I'll be like a wrestler now.
But it's okay to have a messed up shoulder.
Well, in baseball, it's like, you swing,
whole
it's like a
thing.
rotator or something. That like you'll never play baseball again.
And then he became a legend in wrestling.
Yeah. There's another guy. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but he was kind of with like an independent scene in the '90s. It was ECW was like a big deal, and his name was Mikey Whipwreck, which is
really?
where I get my
your
my personal Twitter handle.
Yeah.
And so because he was kind of like the ultimate underdog, and then now like my favorite guy is a guy named Aleister Black, and he's like from Amsterdam, kind of dark, kind of like culty, some satanic stuff, and just really cool. It's like a martial artist. Kickboxing is like their big sport in the Netherlands, and so like I like wrestlers that like strike and stuff, and we actually got to meet him.
Oh, really?
Emily, yeah, Emily and myself got to meet him. That's my wife. Like randomly, like we drove like 3 hours to a show one night in Florida.
Where was it? Oh,
Ocala, Florida. It was like 3.5 hours from where we lived because he was advertised for the show, and this was those minor leagues where like he's gonna get called up to the main roster and we'll never see him. And we got to see him live, freaked out, just I'm talking like screaming. We were actually standing up on our chairs.
Really?
Like, that's that guy, that's him. And like
Awesome.
after his match, like he like pointed at us and we're like,
Really?
Yeah, because like, we had on the t-shirts and like
oh, nice.
and then after the show he was just kind of walking around and like we like got to sneak in there and like he took a picture
Nice.
with us. So like I got a picture. I was really nervous, so like it was really blurry because I was like holding the camera like, and you're not gonna be like, hey, can I take that again?
Yeah.
Like, no, you just got done fighting somebody, you gotta leave.
Right.
So those are the ones right there.
So how long have you been going to see shows and all of that?
Since 2017.
Okay.
I've probably been, I think maybe like 12 or 13 of these shows.
Nice.
Yeah, and they were great. Like I would just, my wife works late a lot of times, so it's like, hey, there's a show tonight in Jacksonville. I'm gonna go. And these shows like front row is like $20 for like 3 hours of live entertainment.
Yeah.
And she's been to a few shows with me, but that one we drove 3.5 hours, did the show, drove 3.5 hours, got back maybe 2:30 in the morning. I had to be at work at 7:30, and I was just running off of so much adrenaline.
Yeah,
like nobody knew that I'd been out till like 2:30. It was wild.
But that's a lot of sacrifice. You doing it and beating up your body is a lot of sacrifice. Why? What is it? What is it about? What is it about this thing that makes you willing to do all of that?
I think part of it is when you want something, you're gonna work for it. I anything that comes easy, if the challenge isn't there, I don't think there's a reward that's there. I think that if it's something that just is handed to you, you don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like if you had to if let's say you have a car and someone's like, here's your car. Now you're gonna be appreciative. Somebody gave me a car, but you probably wouldn't be as appreciative of that car as if you bought it and it was a piece of crap and then you restored it yourself.
Absolutely,
you put in the work. You're the one that you could look at it and like say like, hey, like I did that, I painted that, or I don't know anything anything about cars.
Love it.
I did the thing to the car.
Yeah, but still, not even just you doing it, but you going, like you said, driving 3 hours to go see a show. I mean, there has to be something within this specific medium of wrestling that just really lights up your soul.
I think it's for a lot of people, as far as watching it, it's an escape. You know, and when you think about all the things that you could be doing with your free time, you know, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything like that. I have a drink every once in a while, but you're not like, I'm not going out shooting up heroin. You know, I'm not hurting people. I'm not, torturing animals. Like, I'm going to go see a show. You know, it's no different. It's like people that go to the movies. Hey, we go to the movies every 2 weeks, and we watch a choreographed entertainment for 2 or 3 hours. The only thing about this is there's no, oh, hey, let's do that over again. There's no take two. It's just one take. You know what I mean? So for the people that kind of bash on wrestling and say, oh man, it's fake. Well, you know what? What's the stuff you watch on TV every day? Yeah. Or hey, you went to medieval times and watched these, knights ride around on the horses. It's live entertainment. It's the same thing. It's you have one take to make this thing happen. So I think that's part of it. And now, like, I watch it differently because I thought I knew a lot about it. Like, oh, I know this is what he's doing over there. But since I started learning stuff, like, I watch matches differently.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going back and watching old stuff. Like, stuff from before I was born, and I'm like, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Wow, you understand it all.
Yeah, like, everything's coming together, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, the whole thing's really interesting because I can't think of anything else that's quite like that. That's sort of half just physical sport and half entertainment in that sense. I mean, I suppose any sports entertainment if you enjoy sports, but there is an element to it. It's half sport and half play. You know what I mean? It's like a play. I mean,
it's a dance.
Yeah, it's an incredibly unique thing. So are you equally interested? Would you say in both of those aspects of it? Are you interested in, like, would you have an interest in just doing a sport if it didn't have that entertainment type aspect of it?
Yeah, I grew up playing basketball. Played all 6th grade till I graduated. I had a semi-professional tryout when I was 19.
Oh, really?
I didn't make it. Made the first cut. Didn't make anything else. So yeah, sports was there, but like this is just, I don't know, man. This is just on a whole nother level, and it's so fun. And like I'm like salivating at the opportunity to do like the first match in front of fans. And my job as a heel, or the bad guy, is to just make people dislike me. And so it's like you kind of get free reign to just call people names, and you keep it simple. You don't take any real big shots at people, but like call them names and just find ways for them to just hate you. And that's the best part about it.
So, but right now in the whole COVID era, so you guys are creating on your own without the audience,
right?
For a while,
which is difficult.
Yeah,
it's difficult to to get motivated by people that are like telling you how awful you are or cheering for you. That's part of it. But like what's actually panned out really well for me is because they're not doing the tours and traveling around. They normally do those shows on Saturdays. Well, that's when I'm training, so it just kind of lined up for me. That like hey, no training this week, we're traveling, you're not working, I might work security or something like that, at the event, but like none of that's happening right now. So it's just like, this is my time, and it's panned out like perfectly. Yeah. And here's a weird thing, like fate, people talk about fate and luck. I don't really believe in luck or anything, but weirdly enough, so you remember when I sent you, what I started doing is like every once in a while I'll shoot a little video, me talking to the camera, and different videos of different things, because I'm going to put something together, kind of like a video package. And there's a specific song that I'm going to use. It's a day to remember. It's a song called Have Faith in Me. It's the one I sent to you, and I was like, here's that song. It's an amazing song. It's just kind of like, it's in the title there, right? Weirdly enough, there was an impromptu session. They're like, hey, can you train Friday night instead of Saturday? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And I leave from work. And there's a different guy training me, and he's an established guy in the company, and he's wearing a t-shirt from that band, which is whatever.
No, really?
But here's where it gets crazy. The shirt, it says Have Faith in Me, and it has like all the lyrics to the song on the shirt. And I was just like, this is the song that I've been like. I listen to.
You had already been listening.
Yeah, like this
Fuck
song.
off.
I'm dead serious.
Wow.
This song is like Saturday morning or Sunday morning. I get up, you know, I grab what I'm gonna eat, and then that's the first song I play like on my drive there, and I was just dumbfounded, and I was just like, yeah, hey, nice shirt, man.
So I mean, I don't know how much we want to reveal about the actual craft, but can you break down generally, and feel free to say no, what all does go into the actual school specifically? What are you guys learning? I mean, obviously you're learning physical moves that you're doing, but
yeah,
and then you're learning how to, I don't know the lingo, how to cut a promo. Is that how the kids put it?
Yeah.
You're learning how to give the big speeches part.
Yeah, because you gotta have a character. That's a big part of it. I mean, and you learn how to work with other people. That's 100%, because I mean, think about it. You know, you're flying through there, you're getting thrown here, thrown there.
Yeah.
If the guy you're working with is unsafe, or you don't like each other, it's gonna show, and somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Know?
Yeah. It's a contact sport. You know, I hear that all the time. It's a contact sport. I mean, you get knocked on your back 50 times a training session easily. You know.
Wow.
Yeah. Just bam, just flat on your back. Promos are important. Your character's important. Is a lot of it. And you know, they're always taking applications for the school too. Like on their videos at the end, they have like the website. Hey, you know, here's Top Rope Wrestling Academy. And character's huge, because like I said, you can be great in the ring, but if you don't have a good character, a good gimmick, you're not gonna go far.
So can I ask how does the again, you can say you don't want to answer this, but how does the creation process work? Is it the guys that you're working with, are they coming to you bringing ideas, and then you're kind of saying I want to do this or I don't want to do that, or are you bringing forth ideas about your specific character? I suppose you call them. I mean, the creation of the character. You know, it's his personality, what he's like. Is it a collaborative effort between you guys? How does it?
Part of it's collaborative as far as you know, the gimmick or the character. Whenever I sat down with the guy that runs the company, he was like, "Hey, what ideas do you have? Do you have any ideas?
Cool.
Have you thought about anything?" And I'm like, "Look, this is what I have." And I even pulled up some pictures and everything. And he's like, "You came up with that on your own?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "That's freaking awesome."
Oh, nice.
And he's like, because first he said, "You want to be like a good guy, bad guy?" I was like, "I'll be whatever you want." I got this gimmick that can work either way. And that's when I came up with the Violent Gentleman Miles Blackwell.
So you came up with the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole
nice.
gimmick. And he's like, "All right, this is what I need you to do," because they have me that I'm from England, so my promos are in an accent. Like when I was working today, like they said, you know, work a crowd, even though the crowd's not there. I'm screaming, you know, about things, and I had to catch myself and like, no, you need to scream with an accent. You know, so yeah, that's part of it. And he even said, like, you know, like, I just have to get very familiar with this character, you know, find places in like where I'm from in England and make sure I'm familiar with that area.
So do you know specifically where he's from in England? Like, do you have that worked out in your mind specifically?
Yeah, it's actually a town called Battle in East Sussex, and it's area's got a lot of museums.
So is it their idea to actually specifically make you a heel once you presented the character to him?
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, that's great. Let's roll with it."
You don't know this about me. This is strange. My stripper name is Kitty Blackwell. You've never known that.
Did you make that up just now?
Listen to me.
Oh my god.
That's my stripper name, and that's my drag queen name. I've never been a stripper or a drag queen.
Okay, you just had that one in the holster.
I had a cat called Kitty when I was little. They say your stripper name and your drag queen name is you take the first name of the first pet you ever had, and the last name is the street you grew up on. And I grew up on Blackwell Street. My whole life in the city we live in Waycross.
Yeah.
I grew up on the street Blackwell my whole life.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
I just took a picture.
I saw it on your Twitter page. You took a picture of Blackwell Street. I almost left a comment on your Twitter page saying, "Hey, that's my stripper name." I thought this would be weird. But it's even weirder is me saying it to the whole world.
Yeah.
So so how did you guys come up with the name of Miles Blackwell? Violent Gentleman Miles Blackwell.
Well, part of who I am as a character, you know, I'm very posh, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Outside of the ring, I'm a gentleman, elitist kind of thing. And then once I step in the ring, that's where the violent part comes out. So like even with my entrance, which you guys will see, hopefully in January, if we start doing live shows, there's a portion of my entrance where you'll actually see where the gentleman part drops and the violent part takes over, and it's actually really sick. Like good sick, not like you depraved maniac. But I don't know. I think part of it was I started studying, villains in movies. Yeah, and I think it was in like the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. one. There was a guy, I think his name was like Lord Blackwood or
really
something, and I was just like, that sounds cool. Like I really like the way that sounds. And part of it was like I had this idea that I thought about like a cult leader gimmick.
Oh, really?
And like his name was going to be Judas Blackburn.
Oh, okay.
Because there was like some like cult in Virginia called like the Blackburn family. So it was like, that's cool. And then like one day I was like, Blackwell, that sounds kind of British,
Yeah.
kind of roll with that. And then Miles Blackwell, Mark Bloxton, it's the same initials.
Oh, nice. But I was interested in what you brought up, just in is the juxtaposition of it. Like, where did that come from?
What do you mean?
He's a gentleman, violent gentleman. Is very obviously, clearly, it's very opposing. Where did that idea? Did you come up with the whole idea of being these two opposing ideas put together?
It's just duality, you know what I mean? Like a lot, especially on the indies, the independent scene. That's what they call the independent scenes, the indies. You have a lot of guys that have like different, like a nickname before their name or something like that. And I was just trying to think of something that I hadn't really seen. Now there are some similarities with some of the gimmicks. Some of these British wrestlers. Guy named William Regal, like he just kind of came out and had his hand behind his back and he wore a robe out there and just they get in the ring. He's like a rough dude. There's another guy, Bad News Barrett. He's really cool. He would always like start off saying something nice and then he'd be like,
"Oh, really?
I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you."
Oh, really?
And then he would just like tell people they suck or whatever. It was awesome. But I don't know. I just liked the way that it sounded. And just kind of
but not even just the name, but the whole energy of having this kind of dichotomy, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I find it a unique thing.
A lot of the visuals that I took from or for that gimmick was like I was looking at pictures of like the old bare knuckle boxers, like the those guys, and I'm like, they were gentlemen, they were quote unquote men's men.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then they were violent, they were bare knuckle fighters.